Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girbharadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girbharadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girbharadari Gopi Janavallabha Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jaisacinandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanacharim Jamuna Tira Vanacharim Jamuna Tira Vanacharim Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sri Vasadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radhanath Radha Radhanath Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gaura Hare Gaura Hare Gaura Hare Jaya Gaura Hare. Nitya Gaura Haribo 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 Gaura Haribo. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Dr. Sri Samadhi, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON Founder Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Granted Sri Krishna Book Ki, Krishna the Supreme Personal Godhead Ki, Bhaktivedanta Purports Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So thank you all for attending this morning's and braving the cold. It's quite chilly, but this austerity, you have to perform some tapasya for the pleasure of Krishna. So we read, continuing with the chapter, the last penultimate chapter, I think, in this Krishna book. It's the deliverance of Lord Shiva. I think Ratim Krishna probably did 1 or 2 pages, and then I'll just continue from there. I'm going to read till the conclusion, and then we can discuss. Is that okay? Replying to King Parikshit's inquiry, Sukadeva Goswami said that Lord Shiva is the master of the material energy. The material energy is represented by Goddess Durga, and because Lord Shiva happens to be her husband, Goddess Durga is completely under his subjugation. Thus, Lord Shiva is understood to be the master of the material energy. The material energy is manifested in 3 qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, and therefore Lord Shiva is the master of these 3 qualities. Although he is in association with these qualities for the benefit of the conditioned souls, Lord Shiva is the director and is not affected. In other words, although the conditioned soul is affected by the 3 qualities, Lord Shiva, being the master, is not. From the statements of Sukadeva Goswami, we can understand the effects of worshipping different demigods are not, as some less intelligent persons suppose, the same thing as the effects of worshipping Lord Vishnu. Sukadeva Goswami clearly states that by worshipping Lord Shiva, one achieves one reward, whereas by worshipping Lord Vishnu, one achieves a different reward. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Those who worship the different demigods achieve the desired results the respective demigods can reward. Similarly, those who worship the material energy receive the suitable reward for such activities, and those who worship the Pitris receive similar results. But those who engage in devotional service or in worshipping the Supreme Lord, Vishnu or Krishna, go to the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Loka. One cannot approach the transcendental region of Paravyoma, the spiritual sky, by worshipping Lord Shiva or Brahma or any other demigod. Since this material world is a product of the three qualities of material nature, all varieties of manifestations come from these three qualities. With the aid of materialistic science, modern civilization has created many machines and comforts, yet they are only varieties of the interactions of the three material qualities. Although the devotees of Lord Shiva are able to obtain many material acquisitions, we should know that such devotees are simply collecting products manufactured by the three qualities. The three qualities are again subdivided into 16, namely the 10 senses, the 5 working senses, and the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, the mind, and the 5 elements of earth, water, air, fire, and the sky. These 16 items are extensions of the three qualities. Material happiness or opulence means gratification of the senses, especially the genitals, the tongue, and the mind. By exercising our minds, we create many pleasurable things just for enjoyment by the genitals and the tongue. The opulence of a person within this material world is estimated in terms of his exercise of the genitals and the tongue, or in other words, how well he is able to utilize his sexual capacities and how well he is able to satisfy his fastidious taste by eating palatable dishes. Material advancement of civilization necessitates creating objects of enjoyment by mental concoction just to become happy on the basis of these two principles, pleasures for the genitals and pleasures for the tongue. Herein lies the answer to King Parikshit's question to Sukadeva Goswami as to why the worshippers of Lord Shiva are so opulent. The devotees of Lord Shiva are opulent only in terms of the material qualities. Factually, such so-called advancement of civilization is a cause of entanglement in material existence. It is actually not advancement but degradation. The conclusion is that because Lord Shiva is the master of the three qualities, his devotees are given things manufactured by the interactions of these three qualities for the satisfaction of the senses. In Bhagavad Gita, however, we get instructions from Lord Krishna that one has to transcend this qualitative existence. Nistray gunya bharjuna. The mission of human life is to become transcendental to the three qualities. Unless one is nistray gunya, he cannot get free from material entanglement. In other words, favors received from Lord Shiva are not actually beneficial for the conditioned souls, although materially, such facilities seem opulent. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the Supreme Person of Godhead, Hari, is transcendental to the three qualities of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord states that anyone who surrenders unto him surpasses the control of the three qualities of material nature. Therefore, since Hari's devotees are transcendental to the control of the three material qualities, certainly he himself is transcendental. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is therefore stated that Hari or Krishna is the original Supreme Personality. There are two kinds of prakritis or potencies, namely the eternal potency and the external potency. And Krishna is the overlord of both. He is Sarva Drik, or the overseer of all the actions of the internal and external potencies. And he is also described as Upadrasta, the supreme advisor. Because he is the supreme advisor, he is above all the demigods who merely follow the directions of the supreme advisor. As such, if one directly follows the instructions of the Supreme Lord as instructed in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then one gradually becomes nirgun, or above the interactions of the material qualities. To be nirgun means to be bereft of material opulence, because we have explained material opulence means an increase of the actions and reactions of the three material qualities. By worshipping the Supreme Godhead, instead of being puffed up with material opulence, one becomes enriched with spiritual advancement of knowledge in Krishna consciousness. To become nirgun means to achieve eternal peace, fearlessness, religiousness, knowledge, and renunciation. All these are symptoms of becoming free from contamination of the material qualities. Sukadeva Goswami, in answering Parikshit Maharaj's question, went on to cite a historical instance regarding Parikshit Maharaj's grandfather, King Yudhishthira. He said that after finishing the Ashwamedha sacrifice in the great sacrificial arena, King Yudhishthira, in the presence of great authorities, inquired from Lord Krishna on that very same point, how is it that the devotees of Lord Shiva become materially opulent, whereas the devotees of Lord Vishnu do not? Sukadeva Swami specifically referred to King Yudhishthira as your grandfather, so that Maharaj Parikshit should be encouraged to think that he was related to Krishna and that his grandfather were intimately connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although by nature Krishna is always very satisfied, when Maharaj Yudhishthira asked this question, the Lord became even more satisfied, because this question and its answer would bear great meaning on the entire Krishna conscious society. Whenever Lord Krishna speaks about something to a specific devotee, it is meant not only for that devotee, but for all devotees, and indeed for the entire human society. Instructions by the Supreme Personality of Godhead are important even to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the other demigods. And if one does not take advantage of the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who descends within this world for the benefit of all living entities, he is certainly very unfortunate. Lord Krishna answered the question of Maharaj Yudhishthira as follows. This is Krishna speaking, if I especially favor a devotee and especially wish to care for him, the first thing I do is to take away his riches. When the devotee becomes penniless pauper or is put into a comparatively poverty-stricken position, his relatives and family members no longer take interest in him, and in most cases they give up their connections with him. The devotees then become doubly unhappy. First of all, the devotee becomes unhappy because his riches have been taken away by Krishna, and he is made even more unhappy when his relatives desert him because of his poverty. We should note, however, that when a devotee falls into a miserable condition in this way, it is not due to past impious activities, known as karma phala. The poverty of the devotee is the creation of the Personality of Godhead. Similarly, when a devotee becomes materially opulent, that is also not due to his pious activities. In either case, whether the devotee becomes poorer or richer, the arrangement is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This arrangement is specially made by Krishna for his devotee just to make him completely dependent upon him and to free him from all material obligations. He can then concentrate his energies, mind and body, everything, for the service of the Lord, and that is pure devotional service. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is stated, it is therefore explained, Sarvopari Vinirmuktam, which means being freed from all designations. Works performed for family, society, community, nation, or humanity are all designated. I belong to this society, I belong to this community, I belong to this nation, I belong to this species of life. Such identities are all merely designations. When by the grace of the Lord a devotee is freed from all designations, his devotional service is actually naiskamya. Jnanis are very much attracted by the position of naiskamya, in which one's activities no longer have any material effect. The devotee's activities are freed from material effects, and to these activities are no longer in the category of karma phalam, or fruitive activities. As explained before by the personified Vedas, the happiness and distress of a devotee are produced by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotee therefore does not care whether he is in happiness or in distress. He goes on with his duties in executing devotional service, although his behavior seems to be subject to the actions and reactions of fruitive activities. He is actually freed from the results of action. It may be questioned why a devotee is put into such tribulations by the person of Godhead. The answer is that this kind of arrangement by the Lord is just like a father's sometimes becoming unkind to his sons, because the devotee is a surrendered soul and is taken charge of by the Supreme Lord. Whatever condition of life the Lord puts him in, whether one of distress or of happiness, it is to be understood that behind this arrangement is a large plan designed by the person of Godhead. For example, Lord Krishna put the Pandavas into a distressful condition, so acute that even grandfather Bhishma could not comprehend how such distress could occur. He lamented that although the whole Pandava family was headed by King Yudhishthira, the most pious king, and protected by the two great warriors, Bhima and Arjuna, and although above all the Pandavas were all intimate friends and relatives of Lord Krishna, they all had to undergo such tribulations. Late, however, it was proved that this was planned by the Supreme Person of Godhead, Krishna, as part of the great mission to annihilate the miscreants and protect the devotees. Another question may be raised: what is the difference between a devotee and a common man, since both are put into different kinds of happy and distressed conditions? The devotee by the arrangement of the person of Godhead, and the common man as a result of his past deeds. How is the devotee any better than the ordinary karmi? The answer is that the karmis and the devotees are not on the same level. In whatever condition of life the karmi be, it continues in the cycle of birth and death, because the seed of karma, fruitive activity, is there, and it fructifies whenever there is an opportunity. By the law of karma, a common man is perpetually entangled in repeated birth and death, whereas a devotee's distress and happiness, not being under the laws of karma, are part of a temporary arrangement by the Supreme Lord, which does not entangle the devotee. Such an arrangement is made by the Lord only to serve a temporary purpose. If a karmi performs auspicious acts, he is elevated to the heavenly planets, and if he acts impiously, he is put into a hellish condition. But whether a devotee acts in so-called pious or impious manner, he is neither elevated nor degraded, but is transferred to the spiritual kingdom. Therefore, a devotee's happiness and distress and a karmi's happiness and distress are not on the same level. The fact is corroborated by a speech by Yamaraj to his servants in connection with the liberation of Ajamil. Yamaraj advised his followers that only persons who have never uttered the holy name of the Lord or remembered the form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord should be approached by his watchguards. Yamaraj also advised his servants never to approach the devotees. On the contrary, he instructed his messengers that if they meet a devotee, they should offer their respectful obeisances. So it is no question of a devotee being promoted or degraded within this material world, as there is a gulf of difference between the punishment awarded by the mother and the punishment awarded by an enemy. So a devotee's distress is not the same as the distress of a common karmi. Here, another question may be raised. If the Supreme Lord is all-powerful, why should he try to reform his devotees by putting them in distress? The answer is that when the Supreme Person of Godhead puts his devotee in distress, it is not without purpose. Sometimes the purpose is that in distress, the devotee's feelings of attachment to Krishna are magnified. For example, when Krishna, before leaving the capital of the Pandavas for his home, asked Kunti Devi for permission to leave, she said, "My dear Krishna, in our distress you were always present before us, with us. Now, because we have been elevated to a royal position, you are leaving us. I would therefore prefer to live in distress than to lose you. When a devotee is put into a situation of distress, his devotional activity is accelerated. Therefore, to show special favor to a devotee, the Lord sometimes puts him into distress, because that is stated that the sweetness of happiness is sweeter to those who have tasted bitterness. The Supreme Lord descends to this material world just to protect his devotees from distress. In other words, the devotee were not in the distressed condition, the Lord would not have come down. As for his killing the demons or miscreants, this can be easily done by his various energies, just as many asuras are killed by his external energy, Goddess Durga. Therefore, the Lord does not need to come down personally to kill each demon. But when his devotee is in distress, he must come. Lord Nishimadeva appeared not in order to kill Hiranyakashipu, but to save Prahlad and to give him blessings. In other words, because Prahlad Maharaj was put into very great distress, the Lord appeared. When after the dense dark night there is finally sunrise in the morning, it is very pleasant. When there is scorching heat, cold weather is very pleasant. But when there is freezing winter, hot water is very pleasant. Similarly, when a devotee, after experiencing the distress of the material world, relishes the spiritual happiness awarded by the Lord, his position is still more pleasant and enjoyable. The Lord continued, when my devotee is bereft of all material riches and is deserted by his relatives, friends, and family members, because he has no one to look after him, he completely takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Srila Ranottam Das Thakur has sung in this connection, my dear Lord Krishna, O son of Nanda Maharaj, you are now standing before me with Srimati Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. I am now surrendering unto you. Please accept me. Please do not kick me away. I have no shelter other than you. When a devotee is thus put into so-called miserable conditions and bereft of riches and family, he tries to revive his original position of material opulence. But although he tries again and again, Krishna again and again takes away all his resources. Thus he finally becomes disappointed in material activities. And in that stage of frustration, in all endeavors, he can fully surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons are advised by the Lord from within to associate with devotees. By associating with devotees, they naturally become inclined to render service to the Personality of Godhead. And they immediately get all facilities from the Lord to advance in Krishna consciousness. The non-devotees, however, are very careful sorry about that. My hands are high school. Sorry. The devotees are very careful about preserving their material condition of life. Generally, therefore, such non-devotees do not come to worship the Supreme Person of Godhead, but worship Lord Shiva or other demigods for immediate material profit. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, therefore, Kang Shanta Karmanam Siddhim Yajanta Hiya Devata. The karma is in order to achieve success when this material world worship the various demigods. It is also stated by Lord Krishna that those who worship demigods are not mature in their intelligence. The devotees of the Supreme Person of Godhead, therefore, because of the strong attachment for him, do not foolishly go to the demigods. Lord Krishna said to King Yudhishthira, my dear devotee is not deterred by any adverse conditions of life. He always remains firm and steady. Therefore, I give myself to him, and I favor him so that he can achieve the highest success of life. The mercy bestowed upon the tried devotee by the Supreme Person of Godhead as Brahma, which indicates that the greatness of that mercy can be compared only to the all-pervasive greatness of Brahman. Brahma means unlimitedly great and unlimitedly expanding. That mercy is also described as Paramam, for it has no comparison within this material world, and is also called Shukshman, very fine. Not only is the Lord's mercy upon the tried devotee great and unlimitedly expansive, but is of the finest quality of transcendental love between the devotee and the Lord. Such mercy is further described as Chin Matram, completely spiritual. The use of the word Matram indicates absolute spirituality, with no tinge of material qualities. That mercy is also called Sat, eternal, and Anantakam, unlimited. Since the devotee of the Lord is awarded such unlimited spiritual benefit, why should he worship the demigods? A devotee of Krishna does not worship Lord Shiva or Brahma or any other subordinate demigod. He completely devotes himself to the transcendental, loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, including Lord Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, and others, are apt to be very quickly satisfied or very quickly angered by the good or ill behavior of the devotees. But this is not so with the Supreme Person of Godhead Vishnu. This means that every living entity within the material world, including the demigods, is conducted by the three modes of material nature, and therefore the qualities of ignorance and passion are very prominent within the material world. Those devotees who take blessings from the demigods are also infected with material qualities, especially passion and ignorance. Lord Sri Krishna has therefore stated in the Bhagavad Gita that to take blessings from the demigods is less intelligent, because when one takes benedictions from the demigods, the results of such benedictions are temporary. It is easy to get material opulence by worshipping the demigods, but the result is sometimes disastrous. As such, the benedictions derived from demigods are appreciated only by the less intelligent class of men. Persons who derive benedictions from the demigods gradually become puffed up with material opulence and neglectful of their benefactors. Sukadeva Goswami addressed King Parikshit thus, my dear king, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, the principal trio of the material creation, are able to bless or curse anyone. Of this trio, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are very easily satisfied, but also very easily angered. When satisfied, they give benedictions without consideration. When angry, they curse the devotee without consideration. But Lord Vishnu is not like that. Lord Vishnu is very considerate. Whenever a devotee wants something from Lord Vishnu first considers whether such a benediction will ultimately be good for the devotee. Lord Vishnu never bestows any benediction which will ultimately prove disastrous to the devotee. By his transcendental nature, he is always merciful. Therefore, before giving any benediction, he considers whether it will prove beneficial for the devotee. Since the Supreme Person of Godhead is always merciful, even when it appears that he has killed a demon, or even when he apparently becomes angry towards the devotee, his actions are always auspicious. The Supreme Person of Godhead is therefore known as all good. Whatever he does is good. As for the benedictions given by demigods like Lord Shiva, there is the following historical incident cited by the great sages. Once, Lord Shiva, after giving benedictions to a demon named Virkasura, the son of Sakuni, was himself entrapped in a very dangerous position. Virkasura was searching after a benediction and trying to decide which of the three presiding deities to worship in order to get it. In the meantime, he happened to meet the great sage Narad and consult with him as to whom he should approach to achieve quick results from his austerity. He inquired, of the three deities, namely Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, who is most quickly satisfied? Narad could understand the plan of the demon, and he advised him, you had better worship Lord Shiva, then you will quickly get the desired result. Lord Shiva is very quickly satisfied, and very quickly dissatisfied also. So you try to satisfy Lord Shiva. Narad also cited instances wherein demons like Ravan and Banasura were enriched with great opulence simply by satisfying Lord Shiva with prayers. Because the great sage Narad was aware of the nature of the demon Virkasura, he did not advise him to approach Vishnu or Lord Brahma. Persons like Virkasura, who are situated in a material mode of ignorance, cannot stick to the worship of Vishnu. After receiving instruction from Narad, the demon Virkasura went to Kedarnath The pilgrimage site of Kedarnath still exists near Kashmir. It is almost always covered by snow. But for part of the year during the month of July, it is possible to see the deity. And devotees go there to offer their respects. Kedarnath is for the devotees of Lord Shiva. Kedarnath is not for the devotees of Lord Shiva. According to the Vedic principle, when something is offered to the deities to eat, it is offered on a fire. Therefore, fire sacrifice is necessary in all sorts of ceremonies. It is specifically stated in the Shastra that gods are to be offered something to eat through the fire. The demon Vilkasura therefore went to Kedarnath and ignited a sacrificial fire to please Lord Shiva. After igniting the fire in the name of Lord Shiva to please him, Vilkasura began to offer his own flesh by cutting it from his body. Here is an instance of worship in the mode of ignorance. In the Bhagavad Gita, different types of sacrifice are mentioned. Some sacrifice are in the mode of goodness, some are in the mode of passion, and some are in the mode of ignorance. And there are different kinds of tapasya and worship because there are different kinds of people within this world. But the ultimate tapasya, Krishna consciousness, is the topmost yajna and the topmost sacrifice, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The topmost yoga is to think always of Lord Krishna within the heart, and the topmost sacrifice is to perform the Sankirtan Yajna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the worship of the demigods have lost their intelligence, as revealed later in this chapter. Vilkasura wanted to satisfy Lord Shiva for a third-class materialistic objective, which was temporary and without real benefit. The Asuras, or persons within the mode of ignorance, will accept such benedictions from the demigods. In complete contrast to the sacrifice in the mode of ignorance, the Archana Vidhi process of worshipping Lord Vishnu or Krishna is very simple. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he accepts from his devotee even a little fruit, a flower, or some water, which can be gathered by any person, rich or poor. Of course, those who are rich are not expected to offer only a little water, a little piece of fruit, or a little leaf to the Lord. A rich man should offer according to his position. But if the devotee happens to be a very poor man, the Lord will accept even the most meager offering. The worship of Lord Vishnu, Krishna, is very simple, and it can be executed by anyone in this world. But worship in the mode of ignorance, as exhibited by Vilkasura, is not only very difficult and painful, but is also a useless waste of time. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says that the worshippers of the demigods are bereft of intelligence. The process of worship is very difficult, and at the same time, the result obtained is flickering and temporary. Although Vilkasura continued his sacrifice for 6 days, he was unable to personally see Lord Shiva, which was his objective. He wanted to see him face to face and ask him for a benediction. Here is another contrast between demons and devotees. A devotee is confident that whatever he offers to the deity, his full devotional service is accepted by the Lord. But a demon wants to see his worshipable deity face to face so that he can directly take the benediction. A devotee does not worship Vishnu or Lord Krishna for any benediction. Therefore, a devotee is called akama, free of desire, and a non-devotee is called sarvakama, or desirous of everything. On the 7th day, the demon Vilkasura decided that he should cut off his head and offer to satisfy Lord Shiva. Thus he took a bath in a nearby lake, and without drying his body and hair, he prepared to cut off his head. According to Vedic system, an animal to be offered as sacrifice has to be bathed first, and while the animal is wet, it is sacrificed. When the demon was thus preparing to cut off his head, Lord Shiva became very compassionate. This compassion is a symptom of the quality of goodness. Lord Shiva is called Trilinga, a mixture of the three material qualities. Therefore, his manifestation of the nature of compassion is a sign of the quality of goodness. This compassion, however, is present in every living entity. The compassion of Lord Shiva was aroused not because the demon was offering his flesh into the sacrificial fire, but because he was about to commit suicide. This is natural compassion. Even if a common man sees someone preparing to commit suicide, he will try to save him. He does so automatically. there is no need to appeal to him. Therefore, when Lord Shiva appeared from the fire to check the demon from suicide, it was not done as a very great favor to him. Lord Shiva's touch saved the demon from committing suicide. His bodily injuries immediately healed, and his body became as it was before. Then Lord Shiva told the demon, "My dear Vrikasura, you do not need to cut off your head. You may ask from me any benediction you like, and I shall fulfill your desire. I do not know why you wanted to cut off your head to satisfy me. I become satisfied even by an offering of little water. Actually, according to Vedic process, the Shiva Linga in the temple of the form of Lord Shiva in the temple is worshipped simply by offering Ganges water, because he said that Lord Shiva is greatly satisfied when Ganges water is poured upon his head. Generally, devotees offer Ganges water and the leaves of the Bilva tree, which are specially meant for offering to Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga. The fruit of this tree is also offered to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva assured Vrikasura that he is satisfied by a very simple process of worship. Why then he was so eager to cut off his head? And why was he taking so much pain by cutting his body to pieces and offering it to the fire? There was no need of such severe penances. Anyway, out of compassion and sympathy, Lord Shiva prepared to give him any benediction he liked. When the demon was offered this facility by Lord Shiva, he asked for a fearful and abominable benediction. The demon was very sinful, and sinful persons do not know what sort of benediction should be asked from the deity. Therefore, he asked Lord Shiva to bless him with such power that as soon as he would touch anyone's head, it would immediately crack and a man would die. The demons are described in Bhagavad Gita as duskritis or miscreants. Kriti means very meritorious, but when du is added to it, it means abominable. Instead of surrendering unto the Supreme Godhead, the duskritis worship different demigods to derive abominable material benefits. All the duskritis have brain power and merit. Their merit and brain power are used for abominable activities. Sometimes, for example, materialistic scientists invent a lethal weapon. The scientists' research for such an invention certainly requires a very good brain. But instead of inventing something beneficial for human society, they invent something to accelerate death, which is already assured to every man. They cannot show their meritorious power by inventing something which can save man from death. Instead, they invent weapons which accelerate the process of death. Similarly, Vrikasura, instead of asking Lord Shiva for something beneficial to human society, asked for something very dangerous to human society. Lord Shiva is powerful enough to give any benediction, so the demon would have asked for something beneficial from him. But for his personal interest, he asked that anyone whose head would be touched by his hand would at once die. Lord Shiva could understand the motive of the demon, and he was very sorry that he had assured him whatever benedictions he liked, he could not withdraw his promise. But he was very sorry in his heart that he had to offer him a benediction so dangerous to human society. Devotees of the person of Godhead never ask any benediction from Lord Vishnu or Krishna, and even if they ask something from the Lord, it is not at all dangerous for human society. That is the difference between the demons and the devotees, or the worship of Lord Shiva and the worship of Lord Vishnu. While Sukadeva Goswami was thus narrating the history of Vrikasura, he addressed Maharaj Parikshit as Bharat, referring to King Parikshit's birth in a family of devotees. Maharaj Parikshit was saved by Lord Krishna while in his mother's womb. Later he could have asked Lord Krishna to save him again from the curse of a Brahmana, but he did not do so. The demon, however, wanted to become immortal by killing everyone with the touch of his hand. Lord Shiva could understand that this, but because he had promised, he gave the benediction. The demon, however, being very sinful, immediately decided that he would use this benediction to kill Lord Shiva and take away Gauri, Lord Shiva's wife Parvati, for his personal enjoyment. He immediately decided to place his hand on the head of Lord Shiva. Thus Lord Shiva was put into an awkward position because he was endangered by his own benediction to a demon. This is an instance of materialistic devotees misusing the power derived from the demigods. Without further deliberation, the demon Virkasura approached Lord Shiva to place his hand on Lord Shiva's head. Lord Shiva was so afraid of him that his body trembled, and he fled from the land to the sky, and from sky to other planets, until he reached the limits of the universe, above the highly planet systems. Lord Shiva fled from one place to another, but the demon Virkasura continued to chase him. The predominating deities of other planets such as Brahma, Indra, and Chandra could not find any way to save Lord Shiva from the impending danger. Wherever Lord Shiva went, they remained silent. At last Lord Shiva approached Lord Vishnu, who is situated within the universe on the planet known as Svetadvip. Svetadvip is the local Vaikuntha planet, beyond the jurisdiction of the influence of the external energy. Lord Vishnu's all-pervasive feature remains everywhere, but wherever he remains personally is a Vaikuntha atmosphere. In the Bhagavad Gita it is stated that the Lord remains within the heart of all living entities. As such, the Lord remains within the heart of many low-born living entities, but this does not mean that he is low-born. Wherever he remains, he is transformed into Vaikuntha. So the planet within this universe known as Svetadvip is also Vaikuntha. It is said in the Shastra that residential quarters within the forest are in the mode of goodness. Residential quarters in big cities, in towns and villages are in the mode of passion. And residential quarters in an atmosphere wherein indulgence in the four sinful activities of illicit sex, intoxication, meat-eating, and gambling predominates are in the mode of ignorance. But residential quarters in a temple of Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, are in Vaikuntha. It doesn't matter where the temple is situated. The temple itself, wherever it may be, is Vaikuntha. Similarly, the Svetadvip planet, although within the material jurisdiction, is Vaikuntha. Lord Shiva finally entered Svetadvip, Vaikuntha. In Svetadvip, there are great saintly persons who are completely freed from the envious nature of the material world and are beyond the jurisdiction of the four principles of material activity, namely religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Anyone who enters into that Vaikuntha planet never returns to this material world. Lord Narayan is celebrated as a lover of his devotees, and as soon as he understood that Lord Shiva was in great danger, he appeared as a brahmachari and personally approached Lord Shiva to receive him from a distant place. The Lord appeared as a perfect brahmachari with a belt around his waist, a sacred thread, a deer skin, a brahmachari stick, and Rodra beads. Rodra beads are different from Tulasi beads. Rodra beads are used by the devotees of Lord Shiva. Dressed as a brahmachari, Lord Narayan stood before Lord Shiva. The shining effulgence emanating from his body attracted not only Lord Shiva, but also the demon Virkasura. Lord Narayan offered his respects and obeisances unto Virkasura just to attract his sympathy and attention. Thus stopping the demon, the Lord addressing him as follows: "My dear son of Sakuni, you appear very tired, as if coming from a very distant place. What is your purpose? Why have you come so far? I see that you are fatigued, so I request you to take a little rest. You should not unnecessarily tire your body. Everyone greatly values his body because only with the body can one fulfill all the desires of one's mind. We should not therefore unnecessarily give trouble to the body." The brahmachari addressed Virkasura as the son of Sakuni, just to convince him that he was known to his father. Sakuni Virkasura then took the brahmachari to be someone known to his family, and therefore the brahmachari's sympathetic words appealed to him. Before the demon could argue that he had no time to take rest, the Lord informed him about the importance of the body, and the demon was convinced. Any man, especially a demon, takes his body to be very important. Thus Virkasura became convinced about the importance of his body. Then, just to pacify the demon, the brahmachari told him, "My dear Lord, if you think that you can disclose the mission for which you have taken the trouble to come here, maybe I shall be able to help you, so that your purpose will be easily served." Indirectly, the Lord informed him that because the Lord is the supreme Brahman, he would certainly be able to adjust the awkward situation created by Lord Shiva. The demon was greatly pacified by the sweet words of Lord Narayana in the form of a brahmachari. And at last he disclosed all that had happened in regard to the benediction offered by Lord Shiva. The Lord replied to the demon as follows: I myself cannot believe that Lord Shiva has in truth given you such a benediction. As far as I know, Lord Shiva is not in a sane mental condition. When he had a quarrel with his father-in-law, Daksha, he was cursed to become a pisacha, a ghost. Thus he has become the leader of the ghosts and hobgoblins. Therefore I cannot put any faith in his words. But if you have still have faith in the words of Lord Shiva, my dear king of the demons, then why don't you make an experiment by putting your hand on your own head? If the benediction proves false, then you can all at once kill this liar, Lord Shiva, so that in the future he will not dare to give false benedictions. In this way, by Lord Narayan's sweet words, and by the expansion of his superior illusion, the demon became bewildered, and he actually forgot the power of Lord Shiva and his benedictions. He was thus easily persuaded to put his hand on his own head. As soon as the demon did that, his head cracked as if struck by a thunderbolt, and immediately died. The demigods from heaven showered flowers on Lord Narayan, praising him with shouts of all glories and all thanksgivings. And they offered their obeisances to the Lord on the death of Vrikasura. All the denizens in the higher planet systems, namely the demigods and the Pitris, the Gandharvas and the inhabitants of Janakaloka, showered flowers on the personality of Godhead. The Lord Vishnu, in the form of a brahmachari, released Lord Shiva from the impending danger and saved the whole situation. Lord Narayan then informed Lord Shiva that this demon Vrikasura was killed as a result of his sinful activities. He was especially sinful and offensive because he wanted to experiment on his own master, Lord Shiva. Lord Narayan then told Lord Shiva, my dear Lord, a person who commits an offense to great souls cannot continue to exist. He is vanquished by his own sinful activities. And this is certainly true of this demon who has committed such an offensive act against you. Thus, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, who is transcendental to all material qualities, Lord Shiva was saved from being killed by a demon. Anyone who hears his history with faith and devotion is certainly liberated from material entanglement, as well as the clutches of his enemies. Thus ends the Bhaktivinoda purpose of the 88th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Lord Shiva. Thank you for listening. Om Jnana Timrindasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmulitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. So this chapter highlights the position of the demigods and the Supreme Person of Godhead, and Prabhupada very extensively, elaborately explains the difference in forms of worship, especially for the materialists and of the devotees of the Lord, who do not care for such benedictions of wanting some material benefits. Although such persons are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, in the Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the Jana Sukriti, those who approach me, they may be of four kinds: those who are materially distressed, those in want of wealth, those who are curious, and those who are genuinely seeking knowledge. He says of these, they are sakam bhaktas. They are they want material opulence. But as soon as they become devotees of the Lord, then they gradually become purified from that, from those desires. And we cite the example of Dhruva Maharaj himself in the 4th canto Bhagavatam, how he wanted a very palatial building bigger than something bigger than his grandfather, bigger than his great-grandfather, bigger than his father's. And he approached his mother, who can give him such benedictions? And his mother said, I know of the sadhus go to the forest to approach the Supreme Lord there. And this boy is only 6, 7 years old. He's so determined. He wants to go. And his mother sees it. She gives the blessings. And on the way he meets Narad Muni. Somehow, Narad Muni is always at the right place at the right time, like you see in this instance, when Virkasura, and Narad Muni also, the time when Kamsa was, to accelerate Kamsa's death, he told, the hate child has already appeared and is living in Gokul. Just to accelerate the death of this demon, Kamsa, for the pastime to accelerate. So Kamsa started to get worried. He was like dreaming of Krishna. He had nightmares of Krishna. He could think of Krishna all the time, but not in a favorable way. Demons, they think of God, or they, like Hiranyakashipu, Ravan. They are such, they want to usurp the kingdom of God without God. And therefore he comes from time to time. Yada yada idharmasya. The purpose is more for the pleasure of his devotees. Parichanaya sadhanam. And as Prabhupada says here, killing demons is incidental. It's not his main pastime. Because he says, Prabhupada, it's a material energy. Durga Devi can do that. She gives all these kleshas, isn't? Adi Bhotik, Adi Devik, Adi Hatmik. That alone is powerful enough to subdue demons. That is not based. So he comes especially to protect, like Prahlad Maharaj. Krishna presently comes to protect his devotees. Like here, we see this, and we see also this highlighted here that the demigods are not independent in giving benedictions. They are also dependent on the Supreme Lord for awarding such. They're not independent in giving these things. This has to be authorized by the Supreme Lord. As Brahma says, Sarva Karana Karanam. Not a blade of grass moves without his sanction. He is the cause of all causes. So here we see, like even in Brahma gave Hiranyakashipu, and he could not retract it. He wanted to give him immortality. Hiranyakashipu wanted immortality, but I myself is not immortal. How can I give you that benediction? But he gave him benediction nevertheless. Same with Ravan. Ravan did, also wanted such benedictions. And he was a great Bhakta of Lord Shiva also. But still the Lord honored all his benedictions and still killed this demon. So this is the wonderful nature or the science of God, how he can still, for his devotee, he will do anything. Yes. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, and he is kind of very, in the beginning, in the chapter 3, encourages to worship some demigod, better than not worshipping any authority. He encourages it. But in the later chapters, in the 7th chapter, he's like very heavy on demigod worship. He says these are the fruits are very temporary, and the demigods also, they have to die. They're not immortal, although they live for longer than us. We know Lord Brahma lives for 311 trillion, 40 billion. Sounds phenomenal. 311. That's his 100 years in relative to time. Our 100 years is far different from Lord Brahma's 100 years. Miles and miles different. But still Brahma has to die after that time. So the Lord is the only personality that can save us. His name is Mukunda. Another name referred to one who gives liberation. He's the only one can give liberation, can liberate us. No one else. No one else can do that. Not even the highest demigods. Yeah, you see, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they are on a very high, isn't they? Are, but in terms of the duties, they are in the is guna avatars. They are known as Krishnas, guna avatars. To know Krishna, if you know all these different, how he expands in different expansion for the sake of creation, his Purusha avatars, his Manvantara avatars, his Leela avatars, Purusha avatars, and then his Saktyavesh avatars, he comes as very empowered human being, like reading about Maj Prithu, Kapila Dev. These are great personalities, expansions of the Lord. So, unless one takes to the shelter of the Supreme God, and he describes how this when in the material world, we are very much under the modes of material nature. Daivisha, Gunamahi, Mama, Maya, Jurachayai. He's saying that the mode is very difficult. And these modes are keeping us. They are keeping us in this embodied state of conditioned life. It's very, very difficult. Daivisha, Guna, Mama, Maya, Jurachaya. Jurachaya means very, very difficult. But he says, Mame kam taranti te. One who can surrender to me can easily cross beyond it. One who surrenders to me can easily cross beyond it. But that surrender is not very easy. We see in our own experience how the modes of material nature, they governing us. We are like puppets in the hands of the modes, isn't it? We just acting the way they are conducting, like a puppeteer is controlling the puppets, pulling them that way, pulling the string this way. Likewise, in a bigger scene, we are being pulled and jostled and by the modes of nature. So Krishna is urging, Trigunya, we have to become free from the modes of, we have to become free. He's telling Arjuna also, become free from the mode, transcend the modes of nature. Transcend the modes. Then only one is in a liberated state. Liberation can mean in different connotations, but liberation for a devotee means he gives up material activities, or he gives up all material desires. Akama sarva mokshaka. Whether one has desires, whether one has no desires, whether he wants liberation, by all means he must worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By all means he should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are there that we have to take wonderful lesson from this, that how futile, how less intelligent people are when they take to the shelter of, they live there and think this is I'm living happy, I'm completely. So this is the illusion of the material world, that this happiness and distress, we create, like Prabhupada mentions, the scientists are creating such destructive weapons to kill, isn't they? Using the misuse of intelligence. And this is described in the 16th chapter, the divine and the demoniac. They so bent on bringing destruction to the world, like this demon, Virkasura, the crazy benediction he wanted. But demons are also described as lusty, as very lusty, insatiable. They cannot satisfy their material desires, and therefore they want, and they'll go to any limits to achieve such goals. All this in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita gives a very descriptive of demons. They describe the symptoms of demoniac nature. Yeah. So Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Ramajay Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Very well.
It was a long read, and Srila Prabhupada said so much in that chapter.
Yeah, the one.
Especially the thing that stood out for me was how when Krishna is merciful, he takes away the riches of his devotees. And that's how he blesses them. It's a little hard to digest because all of us want to be comfortable in the material world.
Yes.
We don't want to be in suffering, but that's actually Krishna's mercy on us. And he says how when we have no riches and our family rejects us and we have nobody, that's when we can surrender to Krishna. So the essential point is whatever it is we need to surrender to Krishna. He puts us in that situation. That's his mercy. So I thought that was quite...
He says, when he favors somebody, he takes away all.
He takes everything, so we can surrender to him. So the whole point is that he wants us to depend on him only.
Yes.
And while we got everything else, we can't depend on him. So somehow it's not very attractive to new people to tell them that, that this is what Krishna is going to do if he favors you. But at least as devotees, we have to be conscious that when this happens to us, this is how Krishna is favoring us. And we will get these difficulties because he wants us to surrender to him.
Well, the irony is that we see Lord Shiva, where does he live? He doesn't have a house. He doesn't have, isn't? He lives in graveyards. He's frequenting these places. He bathes in ashes. He dresses in tiger skin. But he gives such benedictions of opulence like that. Because his main business is meditating on Sankashan. And people come they disturb him. He feels like a disturbance. So very quickly, just to get them away, he says, he's Ashatosh, another name for Lord Shiva. He's very easily pleased, and he's very easily angered also. So just to get, so he can continue with his meditation on Shankarshan, Vishnu, expansion of Lord Vishnu. So that is, intelligence means we have to come to a higher consciousness, not be fooled by such opulence of the material, the glamour and glitter of the material world. But sometimes, we get by good fortune, we come and we hear many stories of people who had all the world and they just become from hero to zero, isn't it? But all this is by all high arrangement, Krishna. And that person should feel favored by that. Yeah. There's a nice, like Brahmas. I was looking at that. Where is that? Okay. Brahma, a very interesting verse from the 10th canto. Where did I put that? Oh, yeah. He speaks this verse here. He says, Tate nukampam shushamikshmano punjane evatma kritam vipakam ridvag vipabir vidadan namaste jivato yo mukti parasadaya bhak. This is the translation. He says, My dear Lord, though one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So this is a devotee. He does not blame the Lord for his, whatever situation he's put into. He sees that as is of his past misdeeds. I've done some bad things. I'm paying for it now. But the materialists will say there is no God. How is this happening? Like people also question, in the Mahabharata, why did Lord Krishna allow all these atrocities? Isn't? And Kunti, when she meets Kunti, she's saying, all the time when we were in this trouble, we thought of you all the time. But now we are back restored. You restored us back into royalty. You are going, you're leaving us. Better you stay and leave us in that. She said, let all these calamities come. Wonderful prayer in the 8th Bhagavatam, 8 prayers of Kunti. Let all these calamities come. For when they come, I will always think of you. So this is the mood of the devotee. He prays for such things that he can always remember. So even when they put into stricken conditions of like disease-ridden condition, they think this is Lord's arrangement to give up. It's mercy. They see it as the Lord's mercy of the suffering. People say, "Oh, you're devotees. You're not. How you're getting sick." We have a material body. Maybe devotees, but the material body will succumb to that disease, old age anyway, whether you're devotee or not, isn't? But the devotee's consciousness is that different. Like Bhakti Tirtha Swami, when he had that cancer on his toe, some very malignant tumor he had on his toe, and it was so painful, and he's actually asking the Lord to give him more pain, so that he could go inner consciousness and think of the Lord all the time, and that way leave his body thinking of Krishna. Yes. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes?
Yeah, so from Bhagavatam we also, you learn of Lord Shiva as the topmost Vaishnav in the Rudra Gita with such wonderful verses praising Krishna. And the wonderful song to Srimati Radharani, Kadakari Shahi Avam Kripa Katak Shabhajaman, that Srimati Radharani should cast her auspicious glance upon him.
Thank you. Yeah, nice. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Krishna book ki, Krishna the Supreme Person of Godhead ki jai. Go Premanandi.